Hello, hello, hello. Mark Atwood here. The Mark Atwood Show, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. How you doing? It's currently the 26th of June on a Wednesday. Barbarous one. I am having a nice day. Are you? Strange dreams last night, actually. Woke me up 3 a.m. precisely. Really weird. Similar theme last couple of weeks. Strange location, people from my past, weird circumstances, me trying to escape, not finding a way out, waking up. Anybody else getting weird dreams? We had the first meeting of the Weapons of Mass Protection Club yesterday, which went very well. Thank you to those that came. I'm desperately looking for my new book, and it's in a box somewhere, and I can't find it. But Weapons of Mass Protection, A Practical Guide to Spiritual Warfare, is the link will be below this video. So you've got no excuse not to get it because it's free if you can't afford it. I can't say fairer than that. What do you say to a man who can't say his F's and TH's? No, that joke's not going to work. Anyway, I'm going to introduce a couple of people here today to talk to you about something really interesting. Please welcome my old mate, Phil Escott, and my new mate, Lydia Alker. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
I was going to say Alker, you see. You right?
Yeah, it's kind of easily done, isn't it? Because I'd never said it much, and then I had to think about
Alker. There's so many ways, isn't there?
Well, it's a hazard of this job because ever since I put out a poem called Last Stand in Dublin in 2020, and I was very pleased to see it got like 30,000 views in one day on Facebook. And then I realized that I'd mispronounced Twa de Dannan and said Twatha de Dannan to a load of people in Ireland, and they were very forgiving, but it still embarrasses me to this day. So I do try to get the names right.
Yeah, Phil, so, you were talking about dreams just before you came on there, and yeah, weird dreams. I had one last night of we've got this Spanish festival, event, and we came on to talk about this festival today. We got this event I'm doing with Ben, our mutual friend. And I dreamt that we oversold the rooms and we had to sleep under a hedge. And there was loads of people from my past under that hedge and lots of Beatles, as in double E, not the band. John
Paul.
No.
Ringo.
None of those deceased clones.
And a man came down in a cloud and he said, "You are Beatles with an A." So we were.
Yeah, none of that. Just the guys.
That's very interesting because you said people from your past, and quite a few people have said the same thing to me. So, what do you make of that, Phil?
I don't know. Is there some kind of gathering of stuff? I don't know, because I get a lot of dreams recently of my dad, who I really miss, who the NHS murdered in 2003, and he comes round and he knocks on the door, and I'm like, "Where have you been? All this time? God, we haven't got a spare room. What are we going to do? Have you lived all this time? Where have you been?" And one beautiful time, actually, I got to introduce her to Amelia, my daughter, who, you've met her, I think. And I went down this long sort of bamboo tunnel, and he was at the end in this little room, and I got to introduce them, and I know that he was definitely there. And that was like, that was beautiful, actually.
That is beautiful.
I think those moments where you meet soul family, even in real time, when you meet people and you come across them and it's like, wow, have I known you 1,000 years? Or it's strange, isn't it? But it's beautiful, especially in this time.
Well, this is the time for it.
100%.
I think that seeing the people from the past is to do with clearing things out. It's part of the ascension process, which is also got some very interesting physical sides to it as well, which I'm not going to mention on this show. Maybe I'll put it in another book in the censored section. But anyway, to regular viewers, you'll know Phil from the Big Fat Challenge, also one of the co-authors of the Red Pill Revolution, the Red Pill. That's quite good. Yeah, you got the red.
That's the next book.
Well, I've been out in the sun, so I am. So there you go.
You are a bit red, yeah. Come to mention. Yeah. That's what my kids say to me. They say, "You don't go brown, you're just red." I'm like, "Oh,
yeah."
These kids, best sort.
Well, that's another rabbit hole, isn't it? Because we've been told to, put sunscreen on. We've been told to put sunglasses on, and I wore contact lenses for 30 years, and I didn't realize that that ruins your melanin production when you don't have that in your eyes. Because as a kid, I used to go out in the sun, go absolutely black. It was fantastic. And now, very difficult. Better since I went carnivore. When I was a chubby, and we'll give both of our before and after pics later on. But when I was real chubby and I couldn't take the sun for about 10 years, I was like that, you know, and couldn't take it. And that's when the seed oils all get into your cells and you can't take the sun properly. And the light that's gone in your eyes, because you never get the correct light if you've got contact lenses. And it's, messes your skin, everything.
I have 2 children, and I've never used sun cream on either. And the comparison between the kids coming out of school, red raw looking like lobsters, and my 2 just with this like nice sun kissed, it's unbelievable. And again, what you eat, I didn't realize how much, you know, it matters what we eat and what's coming out of our bodies and what we're cooking our skin in. That's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I did a post on Twitter the other day saying Baz Luhrmann lied to you. Do you remember that song, Sunscreen?
No, I don't remember. No,
yeah, it was number 1 for about 30 weeks. It was huge, and it was like advice for life for Baz Luhrmann, the film director, and the whole message was, don't forget to use sunscreen.
Oh.
That's how the Tavistock Institute works, talking of Beatles and Baz Luhrmann, and that's how the mind control works, because it's subtle, and we don't realize it until we're looking back on it. But Phil is also the author of Arthritis, the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me, which is a great book. Get that on Amazon, can't they, Phil?
Yeah, I can find it there and put some money in old Bezos's pocket. But there we go. It's been on there for so long.
You don't really believe Jeff Bezos owns Amazon, do you?
No, these people are all actors, aren't they? When you see it, and when you see that you know, even the billionaires are just little actors,
especially the billionaires.
It is, it is really fascinating. You know,
it is
levels. Good God.
Cool. Yeah.
It's scary.
So, what do you think of it all starting in Rome, and then it being, you know, those families that came from Rome and sort of dissipated out of the Roman Empire, and they're still controlling stuff?
Whose show is this? You interviewing me or what?
Yeah, well, you know, why not? It's a chat, isn't it?
Well, I think it goes back further than that. I mean, it's I was watching a guy channeling let me get the name right, Saint-Germain, Adam Saint-Germain, and he was saying, I can't remember his name, but he was saying, like with Israel, for example, it goes back to angelic family feuds way back, hundreds of thousands, millions of years back. Family feuds are the worst things you can possibly get in the middle of, and he was saying just leave them to it, because the spirits coming into those bodies at this time involved in all the genocide and everything, and democide is, you know, they're all part of the same tribe effectively, and they just come to keep fighting, and we're just stuck in the middle as the poor little humans on the farm that they created to feed off us. And so, yes, the answer to your question, all leads back to Rome. But where do the roads from Rome go back to? Well, it's interesting you mentioned Rome as well, because in the process of expanding our healing center here in the west of Ireland, we discovered that from spending some time with a Celtic druid that St. Patrick is a load of bollocks, and really the character is named after the word patrician. Patrician is the name for the Roman upper class, and when he was going around Ireland raping and pillaging, not chasing any snakes out, really chasing the snakes out is chasing the Kundalini out, and trying to get rid of the spiritual power of the people and killing loads of druids in the process. He came to this town and then fell off a bridge, and in his chariot was mightily embarrassed, and then 2 of the local Celtic lads nicked his horses, so he was really pissed off. So he put a curse on the whole place. And I thought that was very interesting when he was telling me the story. I was like, Roman soldier doing a curse. But the Romans fully understood, the patrician class fully understood the nature of black magic, and they were really satanic. I mean, if you look at Saturnalia, the 2 weeks when they would just go crazy and have orgies and murders, and there were no laws, you know, Saturnalia became Christmas, and inverted with Santa Claus, Satan Claus. So yeah, I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on.
I wonder if they now correlate with, if you accept the 13 months, I wonder if that now would be around the time of these elections where we supposedly gain sovereignty and we supposedly gain our, you know, is this where it's if it tallied up on our 13-month chart, would we be in the period of mass craziness right now?
Who knows? I mean, there is such mass craziness, isn't there? I mean, you know, this is why we want to do these live events and we want to do these festivals, because, you know, we've been on this show before, Ben and I, and we've been talking about how they're coming after the food. But I mean, you know, the stuff they're doing in Australia at the moment, like chipping chickens and cows, and
what's wrong with chicken and chips? That's quite nice.
Well, that's all right as long as you get the chicken, because, you know, you have to register all your chickens, and if you don't, you get like a $5,000 fine or 6 months in jail, so they can fake pandemics and come around and kill them. And they're doing the same with the cattle. And you know, a lot of it seems to be starting in Australia, this wave of it, where they try these things out. And we've got to fight back, and we've just got to make people really aware of it. So, you know, it's great doing stuff online, but, you know, the events that Ben and I did at couple earlier this year, the War on Health events, were great at Cliff College. But and then it was Lydia's idea, actually, that, you know, there's a great place near us, which is the Junction Pub at Rainford, but it's got a load of land. Great landlord who's a friend of mine. I've played in loads of, well, no bands with him, but so many musical situations and jams and whatever over the years. And he's got a load of land, and he's got a nice big marquee and a stage and a PA. So we thought, you know, why don't we do a local one here and have a Ancestral Health Festival?
Well, I think before you keep going into that, I just want to add in, and this is for the viewers, it's so important to get together. We did I did an event in the local pub in this town on Saturday afternoon. And we had Professor Ian McDermott, the Harley Street knee specialist, come over to talk about medical ethics in the COVID era. And that was just amazing. But because of the magic of video and stuff like that, you can then share that kind of thing. And there it is, being shared, and share this information out. And that's the beauty of it. But having people there in a room together is incredibly powerful with this particular, because I've done live events since May 2022, starting in Birmingham. I did 2 events at Manchester Monastery. You came to one of those, and then I've toured America, and I've done a few talks around the UK. What I've found recently that's really interesting is that there was a lot of anger in the room on Saturday, because people are at kind of at the end of their rope. And I think that's because it's being stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched, and we're being, like you just said about the chickens in Australia, it's got to keep being pushed, because they're still not waking up and they're not listening to facts. So you have to keep making their life worse and harder and harder and more uncomfortable, and see more and more unreasonable things around them. At the same time as that's going on, people like us are trying to build healing centers or run educational events about what to eat, and that's so the two side by side, pushing people from here to here, and then going, there are actually people who've got some information that could be useful to me, which is what we're talking about here. Which is, what's the name of this event again, and where is it?
It's, you go, Lydia.
It's Ancestral Health Festival, and it's in Rainford at the Junction. So it's over in August 17th and 18th, and we're open from the 16th for camping. So basically, when I was up at the conferences with Phil and Ben in the February, we had these amazing talks, we had all this amazing information, but there wasn't a chance to try it. And I feel like that is the point where, if we have these things available to go and test and try, you don't have to spend thousands on picking the wrong products or doing that wrong. For everything that I've learned, it's always the wrong way. And I just think if you can save time, money, and just save a lot of your time, basically narrowing yourself into better information and having good sources there where you can pick up and make better contacts and really connect with community businesses as well. I think the community structure is really, really important, which is why we wanted to do something local. We've got a load of information to share with people, and again, it's for when they're ready. And I think with COVID coming out now, people are starting to question, well, why didn't I get really poorly then, or why didn't this happen, or well, that didn't quite. And oh, my next door neighbour, they were really healthy. Now they've passed away. What's all that about? And if people are there sharing the right information at the right time, hopefully those pennies will drop and the dots connect and they can see what we can see. And this is about, like you say, it's our soul family for me, coming together and just spreading light and getting rid of those shadows and giving us our lives back, because they have been taken off us. They're not our own anymore. We have to work for this system and, you know, the monetary system, and
They never were
abused. Well, yeah, years and years and years. So if we can get back to a place of community where we've got those better community structures in, we have health, then people will go out more, people will socialize more, because we're a healthy human state. And at the minute, there's that many toxins around that are so conveniently put in our shops. I mean, the fact that if I go to a shop, any shop around here, there's nothing that is organic or grass-fed or clean or free from at all. But there are thousands of products on those shelves that could give me a multitude of illnesses, of mental health issues, of just conditions and dis-ease. And it's that what we're trying to show is, why are they so conveniently put on your shelves, but yet your nearest grass-fed cow is now 20 miles away if you're lucky, because for us it's probably further. And that's what's quite scary, is our food system, our genuine food system, not our convenience food or the things that we're addicted to, is disappearing before our eyes. And this junk that's being brought in is masking everybody to what's going on. It's a really strange psychosis that we're in. So if we can get everybody together at a festival where we've got love and we've got light, we've got good information, solid information with really good resources, because again, during this whole process, there's so many things that can take you off down different routes and you can get lost. But again, everything's part of your own journey, isn't it? Everything's part of, from within, that feeling of, well, I've experienced this and I remember what that felt like to experience that. So I know that this is wrong and I know this is right. And that hopefully guides you into doing better things. So,
but what about your journey though? Because that's fascinating. I've heard a lot, you know, on other shows about my journey.
He's doing it again. He's taking over the show.
Sorry.
Before you go on, could you send me the link on the phone, Phil, for the tickets to this festival, because I can't find them. If you could you could put them on WhatsApp, and I'm just going to respond to some of what Lydia said there, because the point, you know, this is what I was saying in the talk on Saturday. You know, most people have no idea that all dis-ease is caused by inflammation, which is caused by toxins. And when you say toxins to people, they just think, oh, you know, yeah, DDT out on the grass. No, it's not just that. It's not just the food. It's your clothes. It's your carpet. It's your car. It's your cleaning. It's your soap. It's your shampoo. It's everything.
Listen, what you look at.
Full spectrum dominance is what F. Engart, what's his name? His book's up here somewhere. I read it about 15 years ago. And, you know, that's the first thing we say to people when they come into the healing centers. What water are you drinking? And they go, what do you mean? And they go, well, if you're drinking, have you sent that link there, Phil?
In WhatsApp. Okay.
Yeah, please. And then I can put it on the screen and put it underneath the video, because this festival, just name the place again, because people watching this won't know exactly where that is necessarily.
It's the Junction, and that's in Rainford, and that's in West Lancashire.
Right. And what's the nearest big town?
Will be Liverpool, won't we?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably Liverpool.
So you're on the way to Liverpool from Manchester End.
Yeah. St. Helen, probably.
St. Helens, around that way. Okay, that's good. And you've got camping going on, so people can come and stay on site. It's going to be a couple of days, isn't it?
Yeah, so we open up on 1 o'clock on the Friday, and we're hoping that'll be like a meet and greet, so everybody can come and join. We've got some acoustic musicians joining us, and again, it's a very relaxed environment that we're in. There's plenty of space. There's the pub that offer alcohol, food, all pre-cooked. And then you've got our site, which will be barbecue, so you can cook your own. And then obviously you've got your tents and wherever you're staying, or your camper vans, and that kicks off on the Friday. And then into Saturday, we've got the amazing talks on all day. And on the Sunday, we've got talks on all day. But around that, we've got bushcraft, we've got the cold water therapies, we've got massage, we've got energy healing, we've got a children's team set up who they are practitioners, so people who work with children, and they will just work on the side. So if parents want to come and children can stay with the practitioners while they go and hear the talks to get the information, or even better, if the kids want to participate in the talks, that would be brilliant. But yeah, we've just got some really amazing speakers. I mean, I love all of them, so I can't boast for one, but
yeah, here's a transformation. You know, Richard here, leave it on there a moment, Mark. He's amazing. He was probably one of the most knowledgeable people on sort of biochemistry and how the body works that I know. But 11 years ago, he was 100 pounds overweight. He was diabetic, covered in acne, could hardly get up the stairs. And
no, he was on my show with you a couple of months ago. It was quite a lovely fellow.
Lovely. Yeah, really sweet, really sweet. And Sarah Pugh, my God, she's just one of the most incredible brains I've ever come across. She's if you go to this page, you can see podcasts with all of these guys, you know, on my Red Pill Buddhas one, and Mark's been on there too, of course.
Yeah,
but
there's Daz.
Sarah Pugh, quantum biology stuff, incredible, and of course Daz is there, and we're playing with the Daz band, so.
But come meet them. Again, you feel the energies of these people, and it's completely different to when you walk into a doctor's office or you're in a receptionist and you sat there and you can feel discomfort. You don't feel safe. But with these people, I can't explain to you, it, you know,
I've had everybody here on the show except for Sarah. Nikita's brilliant.
Nikita's amazing, isn't she?
Yeah, she's fantastic. And if you guys watching, if you know anybody that's even vaguely thinking about getting pregnant or is pregnant, go to Nikita's website, whenpushcomestosshove.co.uk, and she'll teach you how to have a birth naturally, which is critical to the future of the human race. So I just had to butt in there about Nikita because I'm a big fan.
I mean, she's amazing.
Well, I think
great singer.
You introduced me to her 3 years ago. Then.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Met her at a jazz band gig. Well, a little sort of freedom rally that we were at, and
yeah, she's an amazing singer.
She was singing, but her talk was just so funny, but also so shocking. You know, going into exactly what happens when you get dragged into the system and put in stirrups and have your bits cut about by these doctors. Crazy. Yeah. So we got Mike Gracia. He's doing blacksmithing stuff and some wonderful organic meat there from Forster's Farm that we're having the fire pits, and you can cook it around there. You can get some food from the pub and also in the marquee as well. But if you buy that stuff, you'll probably be able to cook it right then.
Amazing.
And,
I love it. I love it. You guys watching, go to this if you can. You guys are going to film it, right?
Oh, we'll get a load of videos on there. Yeah.
From it.
Sure.
Yeah. So, okay, back to you, Phil. Back to Lydia's story.
Yeah. How did you come across this? Because you've got a great story.
Yeah. So, basically, what do we call people who are intoxicated by chocolate crisps, fast food, convenience, Selfridges? I'm just going to keep putting that word out there because that was just a big thing. This money, ego-driven, you need this, that, the other. For a full 25 years of my life, unfortunately. I was told when I was 14 that I had hypermobility, which basically is a condition where your joints are double jointed, but you get a lot of pain in between. And apparently there's not much you can do other than build the muscle around, and all it'll ever do is get worse until you basically put into a wheelchair, and then that's that. And that's what I was told at 14, was that I can't do anything. It might get a little bit better as you get older and the bones get a bit stronger, but it shouldn't, because it's all about degenerative now. I was told I had a degenerative spine. And when I was pregnant with my daughter, I told the doctor about all my symptoms that I had. And she turned around and she said, have you ever been vaccinated? And I said, yes, I've had all my childhood vaccinations. Of course I have. Of course you have. You know, I've done my duty. And she said, well, have you ever looked into EDS? And I said, what's that? She said, it's Ehlers-Down syndrome. I went, no, I've not. So I had a look in every list, every symptom I had: fatigue, tiredness, pain, my joints. Used to have these fade out seizures, very ADHD mindset, very funny with food and textures as well. Couldn't eat anything mixed like lasagna. Everything I was brought up on was oven chips, chicken nuggets, and they all had to be separate. I couldn't even eat beans. Even beans was too far for me. But all these symptoms were part of this EDS. And she basically said, I've seen studies and I've seen that a lot of these children with this condition, and we're linking it to vaccines. And this was just a generic doctor from mainstream. And this was my first sort of, what? You've done something wrong. But you told me to get those vaccines. I didn't know that there was anything into it. And she was like, well, read the leaflets inside. And I was like, what leaflets? And she was like, you don't read your leaflets? And I was like, no, not on anything. So I went home and I opened the paracetamol leaflet. And I was like, liver failure, kidney failure. And I'm thinking, when I was on all those painkillers when I was 17, my kidney function plummeted. And it was shocking. And I thought, why would the doctors keep telling me to take these things and do these things? And I'm not getting any better. Like, what's the point in my life? So by 18, I was completely depressed. I was like, I loved driving cars. So I thought, well, there goes my dream to be a car racer. That's gone out the door. There's no point in me having kids because I can't look after them because I can't walk. I may as well just be depressed. So that's when alcohol came into it. And it just went off the rails for about a year or so, in the sense of being really severely depressed. Didn't want to talk to any friends, didn't want to talk to any family, shunned them all out the way. And now looking back, that again is another illness in itself. It's victim mentality. And when you look at the way that children have designed, I mean, I was born in 92, and all the shows that I ever watched, Hollyoaks, Emmerdale, Coronation Street, were all, oh, such a body's a victim. Oh, look at that. You know, we've got to be there. And it was like, when I look back now, everything was designed around this, if you pity and you feel bad and you, but then when you stand in your sovereignty and you actually learn things and you actually get quite, and once I've recognized that now, I see what's healthy and what's not healthy. But back in 2019, I lost my dad to cancer, and he was given 4 years, and he only survived a year. And I followed germ theory down to the T. The oncologists were like, wow, how have you learned how to do this? How have you learned how to do that? This is brilliant. You know, oh, well done. You're keeping his meds. You're keeping him in check. And he literally went from 4 years to a year, you know. And when he passed away, after learning all these things, that when you're poorly, you take antibiotics, this does that. And it was like, well, the body's not benefiting. He's gone worse since then. So then you look into antibiotics and you read about how we shouldn't overuse them. You know, you should support your system and this, that, the other. Then you see about how the body actually works and how antibiotics destroy so much. So then it doesn't even make sense why we can go to a general practitioner and get these dangerous, you know, really scary antibiotics that wipe out all the goodness in our body that are protecting us every single day. So these little kept going off all the time. And through losing Dad and seeing this health side and this health, the way that cancer was so, I mean, when he got diagnosed, it was straight in one of the meetings we had was with finances, you know, and I was like, why are we having a finance meeting? My dad's poorly. And it was like, well, if he's not got money, we've got loads of money from this coming in, and there's this charity from there, and there's that from there. And then my business head started to go then, because the treatment that he was on was £16,000 for one injection of this immunotherapy. And I thought, my dad's 70 years of age. Why would you spend £16,000 on this treatment unless he's some sort of guinea pig? And I remember the forms that he signed were probably about that thick. We were sat in the meeting, and it was like the oncologist know, you know, that you're a guinea pig basically, but we need your data. We need your data to show that you've taken it so that we can manipulate the data around making it work for you, you know. And my dad's tumour went from a 1 centimetre to all over his body after immunotherapy. And that's terrifying. Nobody ever asked us to do another study or my dad to be examined after it, because the treatment was negative. He was never asked, you know, to be part of a further study of why the medicine went wrong. But I'm quite sure that if the medicine went right, it would be, this medicine works. But for the 50 that it didn't work for, you know, where's their voices, where's their studies? So then when COVID came along, no, that was too much. I'll put my hand up for 2 weeks of antibacterial wipes. And then when nobody was dropping, I thought, this isn't right. Remembered what happened with Dad. Remembered what germ theory taught me. It doesn't make sense. Germ theory does not make sense. We would all be dead. We would all be dead if germ theory was real. And this is where we went into Turan theory. So I really went down the rabbit hole and looked at the whole biological makeup. And I went on Juice Plus, vegan, full-pledged, did the aloe vera shots. Have you seen those ones?
Yeah, I've done them all.
They're torturous, aren't they? Yeah, and I probably yo-yoed between 1.5 stones, but as soon as I stopped, I put it straight back on. There was a minimal of 0.5 stone, and I never felt mobile. I never felt like it was helping me. I could lose weight, that's what I thought it was, but it was more like inflammation. Again, 0.5 stone, 1 stone, but I'd never felt any better. And then my friend, she put me on to Phil. She said, I've met this amazing guy who, Ella, her daughter, she had the same condition as me. Would you like to meet him? And I was like, what's it all about? And she said, carnivore. And I was like, what's carnivore? She's like, you eat every day. And I was like, yeah, I don't really like meat. And she was like, well, why don't you try it? And I was like, do you know what? At this point, I would lick a dog poo to feel better or be better, or, you know, try and turn life around so I don't end up like my dad. That was the biggest thing, was seeing how vulnerable he was within his health. You know, he had to rely upon another system, and he couldn't choose whether the information that they were giving him was correct or not. He didn't have the time to sit there and Google whether these pills that they were giving him, you know, were okay or weren't. So
have we frozen there, Mark? You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. The picture's frozen, but we can hear you.
oh,
Okay,
dear.
cool. That's a great thing. Carry on. Go on.
You might want to leave and come back, because it might annoy people. So that it'd be good if you could do that. And I'm sorry it's interrupting your brilliant story, Lydia, but maybe try that.
Yeah. Still at the moment on my end.
Let's try this. Yeah. Can't even see now. These things happen, viewers. Just bear with us. We can still hear you though, so keep talking.
Okay, right. Well, yes. So where was I?
Yeah, you found carnivore.
I found carnivore, and I googled it, and I thought, what Fenora is this? And I couldn't get over it. Anyway, I booked straight in with Phil because I did look at his website, and through everything that I was learning about our bodies, you know, sun, grounding, EMF as well. That is something that people we don't discuss, and I don't understand why. Normally when a new substance is brought into any environment, there's normally some sort of health and safety protocol. And I remember when bird flu kicked off in the local area and I started clocking onto the skies, and I actually rang our local environmental health and I said, you know, who's monitoring these things? And they just sort of went, well, not us. And we were like, well, who is? And they were like, well, not us. And I was like, well, could you find out who is? And well, it's not my job. And it's like, well, whose job is it?
That's how they pull it off.
Yeah, they couldn't give me an answer of who monitors what. But meeting back with Bill and seeing these correlations of all different sort of professionals who had tried and tested different things, and these fundamentals, i.e. your salt, your light, grounding, these were all things that Phil had on his site. So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to speak to him. So we had our first consult, and I was at that time about 15.5 stone. At my biggest, I was 17 stone. And when I met Phil, I was 15.5 stone. And he explained to me everything that I needed to know. And he was there every day, near enough on messages. And he was just absolutely brilliant. And I cannot believe who I am now compared to the woman.
It's a very common story I hear from people that have done this. I'm going to pause now and then come back. Yeah, okay, we're back. Thank you. That's good. We can see you now. It's a very common story when, you know, same thing with me when I met Phil and he told me about the carnivore, and I had carpal tunnel syndrome at the time and I was exhausted, and I thought I'll give it a go because I built vegan plots in the garden in 2020. And I was very munching through salads in 2020, getting iller and iller and iller. And then it's the most controversial thing I've ever talked about on my show. It's amazing. People get really upset about it. But my carpal tunnel syndrome disappeared in days. And I've never looked back. It's amazing. And it's common sense, actually, when you think about it. But it just goes against the grain because the brainwashing is so deep.
Yeah.
You know,
not just brainwashing, it's the conditioning, isn't it? It's the physical conditioning. It's the conditioning. I mean, you go to a school and what are children fed? The snacks, it's fruit. At dinner time, it's a sandwich or it's something else. I mean, the meals have got a tiny bit better, but still, there's
that's
nothing.
Brainwashing. You know, it's there from birth. But I understand why you wanted to get Lydia's story out. That is absolutely brilliant earlier. But I wanted to make sure that people knew where the website was, because 50% of people leave these shows after 20 minutes. That's the reason for that. So I'm glad that we've got that in. I'm glad you've got your story in. And it's a fantastically inspirational story. Both of you, well done for both of you, and well done for listening to Phil, because, you know, I go on about this to everybody and they look at me like, what? No vegetables? What do you mean? I thought they were good for you. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. And then every time I see somebody do it, they go really healthy and then they slip. And I've done it myself. Slip back, pile the pounds on, start feeling tired. Oh, what am I doing? You know, it's extraordinary.
Well, this is the beauty of crippling arthritis. You see, that it gives you the motivation. Ben's always saying, "I wish I'd been as sick as Phil." I don't think he's exactly serious, but, you know, just to be able to be that strict. But even Ben, you know, when he was in pretty good shape, and then when he did his 90 days of proper strict carnivore, where he cut the dairy out, wow, you know, he got really chiseled and his abs started coming out, and it was, and his mental clarity and everything.
It's definitely up here, your mental clarity and what you gain. Oh my goodness. I mean, for my anxiety, it literally took about a week for it to go. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah, you just get really calm, and then you realize the vegans are really aggressive, and you know, that's interesting too. There were people now in the comments going, "Oh, I'm a vegan and I'm perfectly healthy," and like,
yeah. And then you know, it was funny because you said I was watching your talk because we both spoke at the WTF festival, didn't we? We also played with the Daz band. I missed your talk, so I went and watched it on Rumble. And you were saying there that, you know, you can talk about, you know, adrenochrome babies being eaten by royals and like all this sort of stuff. Nobody bats an eyelid.
Nothing.
As soon as you don't need vegetables and meat is actually healthy and you can eat it exclusively, people get so angry.
They go crazy. Well, and I understand why they do as well.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to kill any little animals either, but they don't understand that veganism kills more animals than carnivore. It's just a fact. It's like,
I've seen all of it so many times and had the death threats on my YouTube channel and all of that sort of thing. But we've been into that in other episodes. But it's just time now. I think people stop mucking about and woke up. I don't think everybody should go carnivore. I've eaten no vegetables, nothing like that for 9 years now. I'm still waiting for scurvy. I'm still waiting to get constipated. I'm still waiting for, you know, all these horrendous health issues, but strangely, they've all unwound instead.
Isn't that weird?
You know, it is odd, but it's time people woke up. I think people should eat exactly what they want, but we've got to wake up now because they're coming for the food and it's really getting very serious. And if people understood exactly what was going on in this war, but also in, you know, what we've been told we should be eating, people just go, you know, people who eat a load of vegetables and chips and cereal and whatever they eat, they have a little bit of a steak now and again when they're feeling naughty. You know, they're not going to worry too much when the elites go, right, cows are banned, or they've got some weird disease that they found by, you know, amplifying some PCR test, which isn't there at all. And so they kill all the cows, and they think, oh, it doesn't matter. I'll just eat some fish, or I'll just eat some chicken, or I'll just eat some Beyond burgers, you know, or some of these, you know, or the lab grown meat. That sounds like a good idea. No, it's not a fucking good idea.
It's not a fucking good idea. No, it's not.
It's absolutely horrific. And, you know, just the fact that it's you know, it's grown from sort of cell. It's not meat. It's some weird cellular culture. It's grown under blue light. It's got no life in it. It's bollocks.
You will eat the bugs.
Yeah, eating bugs and stuff like that. So if that's what they want us to do, we got to wake up to it. Not everybody has to be carnivore.
They've been at this our entire lives. You had Edwina Curry in the 80s going on about salmonella in the eggs, which I never bought. And then you had the mad cow disease, which killed shitloads of cows. Then you had the bird flu 20 years ago, which they're trying to do a comeback tour now. I mean, it's just endless bullshit. But the beautiful thing about it is it's working. People are waking up. There's probably more carnivores in the world right now than there've ever been since before the bad guys took over. And the farmers,
you know that WTF festival thing, because we asked, Ben and I did a talk together there, and I said, you know, let's have a show of hands of who eats what, and you know, probably about 10 hands went up for pure carnivore.
I know,
and I think only 2 went up for veganism. But after that talk, people are starting to listen. Usually, you can wake up vegetarians, but not vegans.
Yeah.
But after our talk, somebody who had been vegan for 38 years went straight out to the burger stall and got their first burger.
And that burger stall was fantastic at that event. And if watching, thank you for those burgers. They were brilliant. But that's you know, because there's so many people in the spiritual or truther community that are still going on about you got to eat, you know, salads to ascend. You know, you're up against a lot of stuff.
Plant lives matter. You know, plant lives matter. Don't cut little trees down and the daisies and the lettuce. Think of the lettuce babies and the you know, carrot babies.
They have that consciousness, don't they? But if anybody's, you know, if somebody's coming up underneath on the spiritual thing, please, there's 3 videos on my YouTube channel. I just put them together in a carnivore diet and spirituality one. One was actually a reading out of an email that I sent to some vegan spiritual teacher who somebody else put on to me. Rick Archer used to run Buddha at the gas pump, who threw me off through my awakening video off for being a conspiracy theorist in 2020. So many of the spiritual people swallowed the whole jabby thing and whatever and pushed that. Very disappointing. But on there, I've got 3 videos that I think sum it up. I've got carnivore diet and spirituality. I've got the ahimsa one, carnivore diet and ahimsa, which is, you know, non-violence and whatever. And a longer one, which is a plea to my friends who are here in the transcendental meditation movement, which I moved up here for. And so many of them are dying from autoimmunity, cancer. They're all veggie and vegan, and they're dropping like crazy. And just, you know, I think it's called diet brainwashing, why spiritual people still die of cancer or still get cancer or something. But those 3 videos, if somebody's going underneath and they're going to do that, let's not argue about spirituality here. Go and please watch those videos and see. You know, I had a little podcast series of 10, I think, called Carnivore and Beyond a while ago. And I was just getting spiritual people on who had reversed ailments and sorted out their whole emotional side and deepened their spiritual awareness by giving up plants and going carnivore. And there's one guy who even reckons that he got back a full awakening, you know, because when you get that sick, I've had that. I've had amazing shift in consciousness in 2006. And then it's very difficult to maintain that or enjoy that when you're in such crippling agony that you can't even crawl to the toilet, you know, which is where I found myself in 2010. very educational. It stabilizes it. It stabilizes things. Very beautiful times when you're ill, if you look into them right and take the lessons. But this business of eating plants to ascend, it's nonsense. I had a friend of mine that nobody's ever heard of, but he was so cool chatting to him. He found my channel and whatever, and we chatted to him. And he was an Australian guy called Chris Art. He calls himself, well, Chris B on my channel. And he grew up in the Muktananda sort of cult, like I kind of grew up in the TM cult, and his parents were all into Muktananda. And he's got this great thing where he goes, were these gurus actually enlightened, or was it just malnutrition? And I love that, because they were all
closer to death. That bit closer to death, that's how they can connect.
Because you do get very spaced out. People go, oh, I feel so light, I feel so wonderful. No, you're spaced out. If the chakras actually count, and that Tony Sayers is right, isn't right, that you should rip all the chakras out. Who knows? But if you have what is the difference between, oh, you're stuck in the lower chakras, you need to be in the higher chakras? No, if they're there and they're useful, you need all of them, right? You need grounding. It's like building a building with no foundations. Oh, I'm so spaced out, you just end up like that. And it's another method of control, isn't it?
It is.
Let's be all little wafty and airy fairy and all of that, and then we're easier to control.
Well, look, every cult in the world ever is a limited hangout. And the clever thing about every single cult is it taps into something emotional for you. The reason religion exists is because we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So they provide the spiritual limited hangout, pull you in, ring fence you, and control you. But the reason why people like me and you became vegans in the first place is because we didn't want the little animals to die, because we loved them. Yeah, but then
it was mostly delusion about health, but both of them are. I thought it was the healthiest thing to do.
That too. Yeah, you put those two together. But the real emotional side of that is, people saying, they're sentient beings and everything else, and so are we.
Exactly.
They eat us. We've forgotten all that. And I know we cremate now, but back in the olden days, we used to bury people, and we'd become part of the land again, and we would feed,
them
animals. Yeah. So
and there were bigger ones that used to eat us, literally.
Yeah. No, I was never into it for that particular side. I thought, it's a side benefit. We're not killing animals. So I didn't realize I was, but I was never one of these militant vegans. Like, I love what they do. They do some amazing stuff. I think my favorite video on YouTube is vegans give frozen chicken a funeral in a supermarket.
No,
you got to see it. It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And they staged this funeral. I think they were trying to nick it. When I had Natasha Campbell McBride, oh no, it wasn't on the podcast, was it? It was on when she spoke. She came over Zoom. Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, absolute hero, incredible in the diet world. Her GAPS, gut and psychology syndrome books. She's amazing, and she's in Spain. I've not met her in person yet. I can't wait to give her a hug. Proper hero, saved my life pretty much with those books. But she was talking. She was saying that she knows of vegans that have gone into a trance and gone into a chicken place, a sort of rotisserie chicken place, and eaten a whole chicken and not realized they've done it. Just because their bodies eventually are screaming out, it's got to be done. It's got to be done.
Kids, look at the babies as well. I noticed this when I was weaning my children. You put a steak or eggs in front of my girls, and it's like, So our natural instincts are there to be used. They're there for a reason. And you cannot be better than the purest form, which is a child.
Well, that's why they stuff sugar into everything with kids, to get them, so you get them to eat anything. Have you got those before and after pictures?
Yeah. How do I share the screen?
Click on present and then click on share screen, and then choose the screen that you want to share.
Okay.
Before and afters are always fun.
Yeah.
For you guys.
Your face. Oh, jeez.
Oh, honest, I hate being on any pictures, to say the least. But this is the point, this is really uncomfortable for me to share. But if it stops, or if it helps, or if it gets anybody from a place of feeling disabled or disabled to do anything, please know that your body is capable of amazing things, and it's a choice. And if you chase health, you will get further and further closer. But if you admit defeat and you admit the disability and you take that on, that's as far as you're going to go. So it really is a personal choice, and please know that this is really uncomfortable. So if you can see the difference in what it did for me, then I hope it can help.
No, you're extremely lucky, Lydia, because you've got a complete technophobe sat next to you. You can't work a computer. So
I know, look, it's just going, Chrome has lost permission to capture your screen. To fix it, go to blah, blah. Do I have to ask permissions from
no,
you?
you just need to click present and then share screen, and then a list of screens will come up and you pick the one you want to share.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Lydia, have you got a podcast?
I don't know.
Can I suggest
Chrome tab, window, entire screen. Go to entire screen. Yeah?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah, it's just coming up with.
Do you want me to phone it? Should we do the old school? Do you want me to...
Could do.
Well, you can send it to my WhatsApp. Lydia.
Hello.
May I
send
suggest?
the whole lot. I tell you what, I'll send the whole
I
lot.
can't get a word in here. May I suggest that you start a podcast?
Yay!
We'll have a go. We shall have a go.
No, you're a great talker, and you're going to be an inspiration to a lot of people.
You absolutely are, and I told you that at the last conference when we went round all the thing, and your story was so inspiring. It was fantastic.
You do the before and afters on TikTok and talk about things that you can eat for dinner, lunch, breakfast, and kids and everything else. You will capture millions and millions of people that need to hear it. And that's really important. You know, the festival's terrific. You get a couple of hundred people there. You go on TikTok, a couple of million.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We just got to keep raising vibration up. We keep making it.
Yeah. Every little helps. Do you want to send that stuff to me on WhatsApp?
Yeah. It's like going on WhatsApp now. It's just going through. Should do.
Okay, cool.
Can you see it there?
Not yet. Dooby. This is the fun technical part.
And this is what's sad as well. There's literally those 2 pictures of me being that size are the only pictures I have in 7 years of my life on an iPhone. And since losing weight, there's so many of me, and you miss out on life. You really do. If you don't look after your health.
Totally, 100%.
Health is wealth.
So here we are with a picture of you, Lydia. When was this taken?
That was in 2019.
Well, not long ago.
Nope.
And I think there's another one here.
Yeah, that's the one that I've seen before. The next one, isn't it? It's
should be an inspiration to every woman and every man watching this. Whoa. That's 2 different people.
Yeah.
Totally different, isn't it?
What's the time gap between these, Lydia?
Genuinely, from 15.5 stone to 11 stone was from the September to the February.
Really? 5 months?
Yeah. The lowest that I went was 8.5 stone. But again, everything was controlled. It's a completely different way of knowing where you're at with your body and what's too thinny, like you can feel it, and what's,
Can I just point out with that, when you lose, I like to say lose fat, not lose weight, because when you go to Slimming World or Weight Watchers, which I think are criminal organizations,
100%
to create, repeat business,
100%.
They work on calories and willpower. That'll never work. And they lose weight on the scales, but it's also muscle and bone density. If you eat a proper ancestral diet like this, the fat will melt off in a controlled, safe manner, and you will keep your muscle mass and bone density, if not, often increase it.
That was no exercise as well. Exercise. So
I know I've done it myself. I went to Slimming World 7 or 8 years ago, and even then, my knowledge now is far more advanced, but then the list of ingredients was all shit.
Yeah.
They were like, you're going to get this flora spray on you. And I went, I said, that's margarine.
WD-40.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, what? Yeah, it was shocking.
Yeah.
There's a great picture here of Phil, for those who've never seen it before, that I will pull up, which is a good one. So this is Phil. In what year to what year was that?
Well, you can see that's Amelia, who's now 15, and she didn't change that much between them. So I think the one on the left was probably 2010, and the one on the right was 2011. But I don't know which. That was 6 stone down, which is like 90 pounds.
Wow. Well,
And
Amelia,
that was no exercise. That was no exercise. So the chumpy guy on the left, that was me doing weight training, riding mountain bikes, watching calories, probably 2,500 calories a day. The one on the right was crippled with rheumatoid arthritis after a while, and then healing up on the right, and just sitting on the sofa and eating nothing but 4,000 calories of animal fats a day. And it just shows it's that calories in, calories out. That's another one that people get really angry about, but it doesn't work. It's nonsense. It doesn't work at all. And, you know, getting my first set of abs that was 2012 or so, at 50 years old, lying on the sofa. I thought something's wrong. Something's totally wrong here. And it's, you know.
We can only keep telling people, and our hour's nearly up. I'll just share this as a reminder to the viewers. Ben and Phil's course, The Big Fat Challenge, is still up at thebigfatchallenge.com. And, you know, you've seen the results. You can't deny the results.
The resources in there, any questions you've got, you know, in the content that Ben and I have put in there over 18 months or so, you know.
It's amazing.
It really is, you know, so comprehensive.
There's another reason why people should do it as well. It's not just for personal benefit. You know, we speak to children every single, well, a lot of our time, we're constantly around children, and they're watching us. And if they're watching us do the wrong thing, they too will do the wrong thing. And it's so scary if we don't. I know some people might go, I'm not bothered, I'm fat, and I'm not bothered, I'm unhealthy, and I'm not bothered about me. But it's like, well, what about other people as well? You know,
absolutely.
Yourself.
Well, I think it's fantastic you're doing this. Ancestralhealthfestival.com. That's where they can go and buy tickets. It's 1 p.m. on Friday the 16th to Monday, 1 p.m. on the 18th. 2 days. You can meet these two in person. If I can get over, I will. Excuse me. It all depends on kids and transport and holidays and things. But no, it sounds like a great event. And thank you very much for joining me. Sorry for the technical shenanigans and me being late, but it's one of them days. But fantastic to meet you, Lydia. Great to see you again, Phil. And thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Matt.